Welcome in, everyone. I'm Kathy Mock, and on behalf of the Board of Education and the Falcon Media team, we are very excited to have with us today the mock trial. And I'm going to have them introduce themselves. We'll start to my left, our coach.
All right, so I'm Rusty Fleming, team advisor.
And?
Hi, I'm Lily Burns. I'm a student in mock trial.
And?
Hi, I'm Claudia DeRodes, and I'm a student in mock trial.
All right, so glad you're here. All right, Coach, we want you to tell us about what mock trial is, and I know you're really passionate about this, so
Yeah.
let's hear.
So it is a academic extracurricular club at Austintown. We just finished our 6th season, which is pretty hard to believe, but the premise is that we compete in a competition where every single year we're given a different legal case. Throughout the year we prep both sides of the case, and then starting in January we will compete against other schools in real courtrooms to try to win the trial. So we have some students that serve as attorneys, we have some that serve as the witnesses that are being questioned. We also have timekeepers and bailiffs as well, and then you're scored by judges and you try to win trials. So that's the basic premise, but we also do lots of other different stuff throughout the year to have fun and learn along the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I ask you how many participants were there
So
in the team?
On our team this
Yes.
year, we had an all-time high of 31.
Whoa.
Yeah. The last 2 years we had, before this was about 17 or 18. So we really saw a lot of growth this year, which was great, but it definitely put a lot more on my plate.
So let me ask you this too. I remember having a conversation with you and having some of the team come to a board meeting. It was 17 and all girls. Have we diversified the mock trial team yet?
We are still mostly girls. It just seems to work that way. But we had, 3 or 4 guys this year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
about 3 or 4 guys this year. But yeah, out of a team of 31, it's still mostly girls. And that's just, it seems, who really is interested in mock trial. There's also, I don't know, kind of like the acting aspect with witnesses as well. So I think maybe that has some pull as well. But for whatever reason, that's been our demographic.
Okay. All right. All right. So, Lily, why are you participating in mock trial?
I participate in mock trial mostly because it's something that offered me a way to find new friends throughout the high school that I haven't met before. I also wanted to do it because I originally wanted to go into a law career. And even though I, went my freshman year, that's what I wanted to do. Now it's my sophomore year, and that's not necessarily what I want to do. I stay in it because I truly do have a good time in this club, and I learn a lot. Even in the law field and outside of school, this gives me a way to go more in depth on certain things.
All right. Claudia, how about you?
Well, like Lily said, I was also really interested in law. I'm on the debate team. I love arguing. I love talking. And I found it really interesting to be able to learn about the law, and I thought it was something unique that other schools don't really have, especially in this area. I love Mr. Fleming, our advisor, and Ray and Brad and all the people who help out, because they are really helpful and they guide you, and they're fun to be around, and they produce productivity and creativeness, and it's a lot of fun. I love the people in the club because it's like being with your friends. While a lot of clubs, there's a lot of stress, you have to win. I also think that mock trial, Mr. Fleming tells you in the beginning of the year, our number one priority is to have fun. And if winning happens, it's a wonderful bonus. So it's a lot like hanging out with your friends while learning a lot of things. So that's why I joined.
So one of the things that you said too, you mentioned some names of attorneys.
Yes.
And I know that this is something that you can't do it alone, that you need volunteers. So you want to elaborate on that, Coach?
Yeah. So, I'm the team advisor, and so I bring kind of like the expertise of working with students and education, but I'm not a lawyer. I didn't go to school to be a lawyer. I'd never taken a law class in college, so there's been a lot for me to learn, and you really do have to assess the case that we're given, with a real legal background. So we have from the start had a legal advisor. So for our first 5 years, our legal advisor was Ray Hartso, which both of our advisors are actually Austintown people, which is great to have that local connection. But Ray was working with Mahoning County Prosecutor's Office, and then he went down to Columbus for a job. And so who stepped in for us last year was Brad Gessner, who is another Austintown person, and he is the chief counsel at the Summit County Prosecutor's Office. And he stepped in and done a really, really good job this year. And now next year we're going to be extra blessed because Ray is now back in Northeast Ohio. He's actually now serving as a magistrate in Summit County. So we are going to have both Ray and Brad helping us out, which, with the size of the team this year, I will take the extra help. And we'll also try to bring in other legal professionals throughout the year, at least a couple times every year. We'll have judges and attorneys come in for kind of like dress scrimmages where we can get some outside perspective. So we had, I think, 5 different attorneys and a judge come in this year alone. So we get lots of help from, the legal community in the area who've really supported us and pushed us to be better.
Okay, and I know both of those gentlemen are very passionate about the law, and they want to do everything and anything, especially Mr. Hartzell.
Yes.
Right? He's
yes.
like, oh my goodness.
He's devoted.
He is devoted,
Yeah.
and so is Brad.
Yes.
So is Brad, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So talk about the cases that
Yes.
have been assigned to you. How does that all happen? Is it like the luck of the draw?
Well, to develop one of these cases is a really big task. I mean, we get a case file that's usually 200 plus pages, and that's including, the rules and everything and the rules of competition, but all of it's evidence and witness statements and the legal arguments and the case law that all goes into it. So now that the competition for this year is over, they're probably already working on next year's case because it's that much of a task. So we get a new one every single year, and you'll argue that same case throughout the entire competition, so districts, regionals, and state. And they're usually based off of a kind of like hot button legal issue or something that's relevant to the real world. Like an example of that was in 2021, it was about a COVID situation, a restaurant shutting down. But this year's, I really enjoyed this year's case. And this year's case was about a forfeiture. The state was trying to seize somebody's vintage Camaro. And the person was appealing that decision, basically saying that one, they weren't the leader of the conspiracy, and because they weren't the leader of the conspiracy, they weren't liable for any more seizures. And then the second part, so it was kind of like a twofold argument. The second was it was an Eighth Amendment, like excessive fine, basically saying that the Camaro was so expensive that it would constitute an excessive fine against the Eighth, which is a guarantee of the Eighth Amendment against that. So it was kind of two arguments in one, and that led to a lot of discussion about how much is this Camaro actually worth. So we brought experts in to argue that as well. So it was pretty in depth. It takes a lot of preparation, but I liked that one this year. I think we had a lot of fun.
So you say you don't know very much about the law?
I've learned a little bit.
I kind of disagree with that.
Well, I do have the social studies education and the constitutional side, but there's a lot to learn, and it's slowed down a lot for me. The more years that I've done this now, doing it for 6, but at first I was definitely a fish out of water with it.
Okay, so are the team members, are they paired up when they defend a case? How does that work?
Yeah, so each team can vary between 5 and 11 members.
Okay.
So it's a little weird because each team has to prepare both sides of the case. We prefer to have our teams on the higher end so that everybody doesn't have to double up on prosecution and the defense sides of things. But yeah, technically, a team consists of 2 attorneys that act as a pair, and then 2 witnesses. So there is a team aspect, and so the whole team was made up of 31 members, right? Well, we actually had 3 separate teams: a red team, a blue team, and a white team that was split up from that whole 31.
But all three of those teams are preparing for the same case?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. And then sometimes with those three different teams, do you bounce ideas off of each other before you go to competition?
Absolutely. It's a team process. We all kind of work towards everything in the beginning together, writing the opening statements and the direct and cross examinations, and we work on that together. But then once we've got the basis of it, we do kind of diverge a little bit, and each team kind of tends to take things in a little bit of a different direction.
Okay, so how do you pick the teams?
Well,
Not to get down in the weeds here a little
yeah,
bit.
no. So it's been really tough because this year we had more than we've ever had before. So in the past, we base it off of who works well together, and we only in the past had 2 teams, and so we really tried to put each team the best position to succeed. This year it changed a little bit, and because we had such a range of skill and experience, we actually did do kind of like we avoid the words like an A team, a B team, or a varsity team, but we did it on varying levels of experience. So the most experienced people were paired together, to give them that best shot to move forward and have success in competition.
Okay. So I don't think I asked you this, but are you recruiting now?
So this is kind of what we consider like our off season right
Okay.
now. So the bulk of our recruitment definitely happens in the beginning of the school year. Right now, we've got like our end of year party like later this week. We recorded all of our trials, so we're actually meeting a few times and watching through the film for like a little bit of like coaching, see how it went, talk about it. So we do a few things like that, a few fun things. We got a few small trips planned here, but we'll really start recruiting and trying to bring people in. I go and I talk in all of the social studies classes. We do that towards the beginning of the year, the school year.
Okay. All right, so again, you've got a voice here. Talk to students. What would you tell them? Why should they be part of mock trial? Who wants to go first?
I guess I'll go first. I think that students should be part of mock trial mostly because it gives them that experience, like talking in front of other people that they might not be comfortable with at first. I know that when I started, I was nervous to talk in front of my classmates and go to trial and talk in front of a bunch of, grown adults that I'd never seen in my entire life. But my second year, I've grown and I'm comfortable around them. Like I feel okay talking to them, and it helped me in my classrooms too, doing presentations. I feel a lot more comfortable going up in front of my class now. Again, it also gave me that experience, meeting new people, getting closer with the teachers, and just like learning a little bit more that you can't really learn inside a regular, maybe history classroom. It gives you a lot. You could get a lot out of this club from that.
Okay. All right. Adi.
I guess I would agree a lot on the public speaking part. You obviously learn how to speak professionally, of course, in front of attorneys and real-time judges. You learn court etiquette, how to move around the court, how to address the judge. You learn about the law in, I think, a very interested and applicated way instead of just learning it from a textbook. You learn a variety of different things. You learn how to dress professionally. You learn how to speak professionally. You learn how to speak with cadence and volume and tone to appease your judges. You learn how to work well with a team. You learn well how to compete with others in a healthy and constructive way. And I think all in all, even if you aren't interested in the law, there's so many fun and interesting things to learn and do in the mock trial team because you can be a witness, you can work on acting skills, you can work on emotional appeal. Or even advance your logic. There's a lot of on-the-fly speaking sometimes when it comes to objections or a rebuttal maybe. And I think it's just an all in all very a cool way to learn about the law and just how to be a better citizen.
Okay.
Can I add one more thing?
Absolutely.
I definitely think that if you were to go to a college and you were to put this on your application, they would look at this as something positive to come out of your high school education.
I agree 100%. And I'm really glad that you brought up, because I was going to ask this, as far as like how you would dress. I mean, that's an important thing if you are an attorney and you have to dress professionally, that first impression. Even your mannerisms, is that coached as well?
Oh yeah, that's all part of it. Yeah, I will say, I mean, the growth that I see in students from like year to year to year is crazy. And it's like the most rewarding thing that I get out of doing this. Like I do it because I love the kids that we get in the group. I've got a great group of kids, I always have. But the most rewarding thing is to see someone from the start of their freshman year to like then the end of their freshman year. They carry themselves with so much more confidence, like they believe in themselves a lot more. They're just completely different people. And I've had 4-year members that, you know, just were so in their shell. And then by the time they're seniors, they're like, you know, confident, they have faith in themselves. And to see that growth is like just so rewarding.
Okay.
Makes it all worth it.
So have you kept track of some of your team as to where they are? Are they in law school?
So we have, we've had a few that have gone that direction. So I know for one of our students last year, Braden Malia, he's actually still in really good contact with Ray, going to like legal conferences or whatever, as he looks to take the next step. And then we have another previous Austin Town mock trial, Melina Hagan, and she is actually doing Akron's 3-in-3 program, so 3-year bachelor, 3-year law school, and she is actually interning at Summit County Prosecutor's Office as well. So that's another thing that really makes this awesome, is to see like, you know, like mock trial at Austin Town has given people these pathways into a law career. And I will also say that Brad and Ray are both like so awesome in that regard, that they really care about like the personal outcomes for students and use the networks that they've built in the law, you know, the field of law to really put our Austin Town students in the best possible position to succeed and follow that path in the future.
So before you do have competitions, you actually go to a courtroom? Are
Yes.
you able to
Yeah.
do that?
They take place, well, you said before?
Yes,
Well,
or not so much.
Not really, no, not before, but I mean, we've gone on field trips to courtrooms before. We did 2 years ago. We're going to be going to the Court of Appeals to see some oral arguments the 1st of May as well. So we get some opportunities there, but yeah, at least for like freshmen or first-year members, hopefully it's their first time in a courtroom. If it isn't, then you know, maybe something happened before. But yeah, that's usually their first time in a courtroom, and you know, in the legal attire, you know, doing the thing, the real deal.
So thinking back to during COVID, how did that impact mock trial?
You know,
If you could just talk about that a little bit.
yeah, it was a challenge for sure. Now, you would have been there for
Right, Claudia?
the second COVID year, I believe. But so the very first year of COVID, we did every single practice remote, just for you know, that was in the very early runnings of things. And the second year of COVID, so that would have been the 22,
Was it 2022?
yeah, the 20. I can't even remember, but. There were 2 years following COVID. Okay, so it would have been the 21 competition, the 22 competition. We're all remote. It was all through Zoom. And it wasn't great.
Nothing was great.
Yeah, it was not
Let's just say
great
it.
because you're already taking activity that is so challenging, you know, and you're adding in the unknowns of tech issues. You know, judges not being able to hear us well, the stuff breaking up. In fact, I remember it would have been the 22 competition. We advanced to.
And I think I listened to part of that.
Yeah,
And it was remote.
We
You had
advanced.
that opportunity.
Yeah, we advanced to regionals, but we had a snow day that day, so we all had to compete from home.
Oh, goodness.
We couldn't even have all been in the same room. We had a snow day, and we all had to compete from home. And let's just say it didn't go great because there was even more issues with not all of us being in the same room together. You know, we were all completely separate. So it was challenging. The last 2 competitions have been in person, and it is such a breath of fresh air.
Right, you need that camaraderie to help
yeah.
each other, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So before we wrap up, is there any final word, Claudia, you want to say about mock trial?
Really, it's just a lot of fun. I think people who are interested should definitely join, even if they don't want a career of law. Yeah, I would say, even if you don't really think about joining, maybe come by, visit, see what it's all about. And yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, really, if you're able to join mock trial, you 100% should. There are so many opportunities that you can be given through the club.
Okay, Coach.
Yeah, I'll kind of touch on something that I think Claudia mentioned earlier, that our first and foremost priority is always just having a good time. And that was definitely a attitude and a mindset that Ray Hartso and I brought towards the club from the very beginning, that, you know, we're doing this because we enjoy it. And we're not going to do it if it becomes, you know, an unpleasant experience. So we want to win. Let's not like make any illusions that we don't want to win. But winning is fun. But if you know, we're killing ourselves and we're not having a good time along the way, it's not worth it. So I think if anybody is curious about, you know, joining, just understand, you know, our first and foremost priority is that we have a good time. We all get along. We laugh. And we get work done, and we win too. But that's our first and foremost priority. So yeah, that's what we care about the most. Yeah.
Well, Lily and Claudia, thank you so much for coming in and giving of your time. Coach Fleming, oh my goodness, I mean, I know you have a great passion. Maybe you should look into that law thing in your spare time, right? In your spare time.
My legal, Ray has said you really should look into it, and I always have to say, respectfully, I'm good. I like teaching about it. I don't know if I'd like to practice myself.
Well, I want to wish you all the very best. I know you're going to be highly successful in whatever career path you take. And thank you so much for bringing your passion to mock trial. We so appreciate it. So we're going to wrap up. And this is Kathy Mock. And on behalf of the Board of Education and the Falcon Media team, until the next time, as we always like to say, go Falcons!